everyone. This is Misha Houston, and I'm here to do my review of If Loving You Is Wrong. Tonight's episode is entitled A Taste of Freedom. And I have to say that it was a good episode. I enjoyed it. I did see a plot hole, but all in all, it was a pretty decent episode. I can't complain about it. So, Tyler Perry, I do notice that things are getting better, and I very much appreciate it. So, thank you. The first group we go to is Marcy, Alex, and Randall. Randall gets off the elevator and asks, "What are you doing here?" And Marcy says, "None of your business," and to leave her alone. Alex pushes, for the button on the elevator again, trying to get away. And she asks him, "What are you doing here? Are you following me?" And Randall says, "Yes, why not?" He wants Alex to stop her lying, and he will continue to follow her until he finds out, who she was sleeping with. Marcy tries to leave, but Randall pulls her back and asks, "What are you doing here?" And Marcy says again, "It's none of your business." Then Randall rants about her keeping secrets and the baby not being his. Marcy, could care less about any of this. Randall says that he cares so much that he's going to jack up her life. Marcy says that she knew that he was crazy, but she had no idea how much. She thinks he's certifiable and that he could draw disability if he wanted to because, he is so crazy. Marcy tries to leave, but Randall stops her again and asks her, "What are you doing in this part of the hospital?" Marcy just wants him to leave her alone and threatens, to TKO him, to technically knock him out. And Randall, gives her his chin, wanting her to do that. Then Alex says Marcy is there because she's trying to get pregnant for Brad, but it won't work. Alex says that it won't work, and so she should just leave her alone. Randall says, "Do you really want to take it this far?" And Alex says, "Yes, she really does." Randall says, "If I can't give you a baby, he most certainly cannot." Marcy says, "You couldn't give Alex a baby either." And Alex says, "No, you couldn't." Alex says, "I don't think Marcy is the true problem." And Marcy agrees with that. Randall says, "Oh, you both are going to gang up on me now?" And then Alex announces that she is going to see a doctor downstairs for her checkup. And she tells Randall that if you want to follow me, I'm going to the supermarket and then to the baby store. Alex leaves, the elevator, and the elevator door swings open, and Marcy runs inside. And then Randall goes in right behind her. And then he tells Alex, "Yeah, you should go and take the stairs because you need to work off that baby weight." Um, as I said before, I saw a plot hole, and it's really a continuation from the last week's episode. Why is Alex, trying to get on an elevator when the doctor's office is is on the same floor? On the same floor as Dr. Rawson's office is on the same floor. Why is she trying to get on an elevator, to get to the office when Marcy just came from Dr. Rawson's office on that same floor? That was the plot hole from last week. And, this is, it was just a plot hole. I thought it was weird. I know that they wanted to get all of them at the same place at the same time and in the same spot. But the writing of it, was sloppy. The execution of it was sloppy. It's really obvious that Marcy and Alex should be going in different directions on the same floor. They shouldn't both be at the elevator trying to get, for Alex to try to get to Dr. Rawson's office. But that's just that was really the only plot hole that I saw in the episode. But it was there all the same. The next two people we go to is Randall and Marcy in the elevator. Randall is leering at Marcy in the elevator. I mean, he just looks absolutely ridiculous. He asks her, "Are you really trying to have that loser's baby?" And Marcy says, "Anyone's baby but his." She says that she is in love with Brad, and she says that he is an amazing man and a wonderful lover and a morally good person, something that Randall would know anything about. Randall says that he's a terrible lover, and I know what you like. Marcy says then she has adapted. Randall says, I mean, you apart it so much that you want to you're so desperate to have Brad that you willing to have Brad's baby, knowing that he's married to Alex. And Marcy says, I'd have a whole bunch of babies from him if he would allow me. Randall says that you have a problem. Alex is his wife. Marcy says that I have no fear of her and I can take her. Randall says you have another problem. And Marcy says, "Oh, you're not the problem. You're just some asshole." Randall says there is another problem. Brad had a vasectomy, and Marcy says that the vasectomy is a reversal. Randall can't believe her and she can't believe him. Randall says that you're so desperate to have Brad's baby that and she is kind of desperate. I mean, at this point, I do believe that Marcy is very desperate at this point. There's a lot of desperation going on in this episode. Marcy says, "Yeah, I'll have anyone's baby except yours." Then she throws it in his face that he is still not a father. Randall says that after all this time and all this hell, the child isn't even mine. He says that if we had just kept this thing a secret, we could have gone on with our lives. Trying to imply that he would happily get back together with Marcy. That relationship is over. I mean, it's really ridiculous, and it's really ridiculous that he won't sign for the divorce. I mean, think about what he's doing. He's chasing after Alex, been doing it for months, yet he wants to stay, married, to Marcy and pretend. I mean, it's ridiculous. He wants Marcy all nice and neat at the table, and he wants to chase Alex, across the backyard. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just completely and utterly ridiculous. I, ugh, I mean, I want to like Randall, and sometimes, but in this episode, I just couldn't stand him. He was just as revolting as ever, and it's just ridiculous. Marcy said, corrects him, saying that, "Oh, we wouldn't have gone on with our lives. We would have gone on with the lie that the what the marriage had become." She says, "No, thank you. I am not interested." Randall asks why, and Marcy says, "There is no one on this planet that I despise more than you." Randall says that, "Oh, you're saying, Randall says that you're saying that, but your heart is saying something else." Trying to creep and step to Marcy. But Marcy ain't having that, and I'm so proud of her. She says that my heart is saying something else. It says that I wish that your heart would stop beating. And then the elevator door opens and she leaves. Afterwards, he says that women can be so cold. Then he hits on the other blonde woman that was in the elevator with him. I mean, I mean, sometimes I think he's funny, and sometimes I can't stand the sight of him. And this was an episode where I could barely stand the sight of him, and he deserved everything that he got. The next two people we go to is Marcy and Larry. Marcy calls up Larry, wanting him to go downtown and talk to Randall. Larry says that he is having drinks with him tonight. Marcy says no, it needs to be sooner rather than later. He needs to know that I'm serious about this divorce. She says that she, just ran into him in the hospital and he was following Alex and he saw me. Larry asks Are you okay? And Marcy says, I will be okay once the divorce is final. Larry says that he will talk to him today. Marcy says that she wants him, to know that Larry is representing her. She wants him to know it now in the hopes that he will stop harassing her and harassing everybody. Larry agrees to call and also agrees to tell her what, he has said. Marcy thanks him and she hangs up. I mean, this is another character that's getting very desperate. Marcy is desperate. As I said before, there's a lot of desperation running through this episode. The next group we go to is Kelly, Ian, Natalie, and Justice, which in my opinion was one of the best scenes of the night. Kelly comes home and she sees the police all over her house. She says that they are tearing her house apart. Kelly then goes over to Natalie's house and Natalie tries to tell Kelly what has been going on with Justice, but she already knows. They call Justice into the room and he asks if she is okay and why did they take you? And Kelly says that it's okay, I'm doing okay, I'm fine. She asked him, "What do you know about all of this?" And Justice answered that I told Miss Natalie to call the police and tell them that I was the one who killed Ramsey. Then he asked, "Are they coming to take me away?" And Kelly says, "No, they're not." Justice says, "He confessed." And Kelly says, I don't want to hear you talk about that. Natalie wants to leave the room, but Kelly wants her to stay with her. Kelly and Justice sit down and she asks him, what did he confess to? And Justice replies that he confessed to stabbing him. Kelly knows that he is lying, which he is, and asks him, why are you saying things like this? Justice says that I'm doing it to help you. Kelly tells him that you're not helping me, that you're only endangering yourself. Justice thinks that it is right, to confess so she can get out. He thinks that he's right for doing this. Kelly tells him to stop. I know that you're lying, and it is hurting me to hear you say these things. She wants for him to tell the truth. He says that I am not trying to hurt her, but only trying to help. Justice eventually admits that he did not stab Ramsey. Kelly asks him, why are you saying that you did? Then Justice cries and says that I only wanted them to let you go. He's obviously just trying to get his mama out of jail. I only wanted, them to let you go. She says, she tells him that I don't ever want you to lie no matter what happens. I don't like it when you start lying. Justice says that I had to do something. I shot the gun. Kelly says that the gun was her fault and that she shouldn't have had the gun in the house. She tells him that no matter what happens, you always tell the truth. And he says yes, and that he's sorry for lying. Then Natalie asks Justice, how did you know all of the details? Justice says that Travis called him, Travis, and told him to say those things. Natalie asks, did he tell you how many times that Ramsey was stabbed? And Justice says yes. Kelly implores Justice to never to talk to him again. He is not my friend and he is not yours. He is a very dangerous person. Justice says, he understands and that he's okay with it. Kelly wants him to go on and go to school and that she's going to get him some clothes. Outside, Kelly cries and says that son of a bitch is messing with my son. Natalie hugs her, and Kelly says Travis told Justice all of these horrible things and that she thinks that he may need some therapy. Kelly says that this man is ruining my life and I had to put up my own house just to get out of jail. Natalie says Look at the good side, look at the bright side. Travis has confessed to killing Ramsey with details about the killing and all. Natalie is going to call Lucian, but Kelly says that my lawyer Ian is right over there and we can talk to him first. As I said before, there's a lot of desperate people in this episode, and Justice also is very desperate. He has become very desperate trying to protect his mother. And, I can't really blame. The next group we go to is Lucian, Stephen, Lamont, Agent Stanford Samples, and Eddie. Stephen and Lucian are walking to Eddie's interrogation room, and Lamont tells them both that the DEA was called in to take down the Colombian cartel and that Eddie is an undercover DEA agent. Eddie says, surprise, bitches, in his normal, selfish, angry, belligerent self. Lamont says that he was brought in to take down the cartel, the captain, and some of those officers who killed the rookies. Lucian can't believe that he is a DEA agent. Lamont says that it is hard to believe, but it is true. Eddie is an undercover DEA agent. He works for the government, just like Lucian and Steven do. Eddie, in his usual obnoxious self, says that we are all upon the same team. Lucian says that he has shot people and taken cocaine, and we still don't know where Andrew is. Lucian says that this is absolute bullshit, and Lamont wants a minute alone with Lucian, and Ed makes some insults, quips, and comments, and then he just leaves the room, a free man. Lucian tells Lamont that he is as crooked as they come. Lamont says that he is a decorated DEA agent and that he was sent here specifically to take down the Colombian cartel. Lucian doesn't care about any of that. Lamont says that he has to go back to Escada and explain why he is out and free. Lucian and Stephen are clearly upset by this news, but there is nothing that they can do about it. Lucian complains that their cover is completely blown. And Lamont says that he saw Eddie's file, thinks that Eddie will get his, and both DEA and FBI bosses are at each other's throats. And it goes much higher than us. Lamont orders Lucian and Stephen to go back to the station and act like nothing ever happened, which will be absolutely impossible because you know now that Eddie is going to be completely and totally insufferable now. He says that you have to sometimes play with a demon to trap a devil. Lucian says that things that I have seen him do, the DEA, organization will never allow that. Lamont says just keep building a file on him and then you will just have to play along with the charade. Lamont asks them both, can you play along? And Lucian and Stephen says yes. Stephen and Lucian can't believe this, but they both know that they have to go along with the scheme. Um, yeah, Eddie is apparently a DEA agent, and I kind of figured that. I kind of figured that something was going on here, seeing as he wasn't in jail. But we're just gonna have to see what happens with Eddie, Steven, and Lucian down the line. The next three people we go to is Kelly, Ian, and Natalie. Kelly and Natalie go over to talk to Ian, and they tell him that Travis called Justice and told them all of the details of how Ramsey was killed and told Justice to say that it was him. Travis, trying to frame this little boy for his murder. That's pitiful. That's pitiful. Ian says that he is so sorry. Natalie thinks that this is a good thing because Travis confessed to this. But Ian disagrees, saying that the DA, if the DA finds out, she may try to pin the whole thing on Kelly, telling Justice to say those things, and Justice may be called to the stand. Kelly says that this is absolutely crazy, that this man can ruin my life like this. Ian says that he will talk to the other partners in the firm for a second opinion. And he also advised, Kelly to tell Justice to stop telling this story that he killed somebody. Kelly tells him that, can you go in the house and get some clothes for me and Justice? And Ian agrees to do that. Natalie says that it's going to be all right in time, but Kelly is completely unsure, but she hopes so. She hopes that things will turn around. It's a really bad situation for Kelly, but there were times where she could have saved herself, and she drug her foot instead of being quick and telling the truth about what was going on in the beginning. I think about, a previous episode where Esperanza and Kelly heard the dirty messages on her phone that Travis left. She could have played those messages for Officer Rick, who showed up at the house to investigate, but she did not do that. She was slow to action, slow, and she was mealy mouthed instead of just being blunt and just telling the truth. But and now but now she's in it deeper and deeper, and it just seems like it's just no way out. I hope that she does get out of it in time, though. The next two people we go to is Esperanza and Eddie. Esperanza comes home and hears noises in the bathroom. She gets her gun and then she goes into the bathroom to see that Eddie is there taking a shower. Esperanza asks Eddie, "What are you doing in my house?" And he replies, "I'm taking a shower." She wants him to leave immediately, but he says that he's rinsing off and it may take a few minutes. She asked him, "How did you get in here? And how did you get out of the police station?" And Eddie responds, "I'm Teflon Don. They can't touch me." Then she goes over to the toilet and flushes it, and it makes the water go cold. He jumps out, shivering, and says that that's all it takes to make the water go cold. This place needs a plumber. She asks him again, "What is he doing there? You look ridiculous." And then Eddie says, um, that I am here. I don't look ridiculous. I'm here trying to take a bath. And he didn't look ridiculous. You can tell that that was a lie. She knows that she likes Eddie. She knows she likes that man. Eddie says that I am here, trying to take a bath. She thinks that he escaped. But he is saying that they let me go, and they let me go and walk out of there a free man that I am. She thinks that he is hiding here in her house, and then she calls Lucian, and he tells her that he is out and that he made some sort of a deal. Lucian says that Eddie is going to have to tell you himself. She asks him, "What kind of deal did you make, and how does this affect our daughter Mika?" Eddie says that he can't tell her because, he's undercover. And then Eddie says, "My clothes are off. Why don't we just go on to the bedroom and do what we do?" He tries to step toward her, in a sexy, sexual manner, but she's got the gun in her hand and she just wants, for him to leave. So she is so desperate that she starts shooting up the place. She shoots up the bathroom, and then he gets low and starts crawling on his hands and knees out the front door completely naked. She shoots up her house trying to get rid of Eddie. She doesn't care that he is outside naked in public. He asks for his clothes, but she doesn't give them to him. And then he says, "Oh, those Latin women really turn him on." I really enjoyed that scene. I'm glad that she took a hard line with him. I mean, she needs to take a hard line with him and let him know that their relationship is over. But I have to say this about Esperanza. I think she's telling him and herself that she doesn't love him. But I think deep down she still does. I think she's completely in love with him, but she doesn't want to admit it or face it. I think she's living partly in denial. And I think she's desperate to keep him at arm's length, to so she can carry on her delusion that she's not in love with him. I think she's completely in love with him, but that's just my opinion. The next two people we go to is Ian and Marcy. Ian and Marcy are looking over the new house. He loves the house and she loves it as well. She says that the previous owners got divorced and they both relish the fact that they are both in the same divorce boat. Ian talks about his own history, that he has three sons, and that is the reason that he needs so much room in his house. And he and his wife got a divorce. Then he decides on buying the house. He asks for $50,000 below the asking price, and Marcy suggests $18,000 below the asking price so he can get the house. And Ian agrees to the sale. So Ian is moving into the neighborhood, and if I had to predict, I think that Randall is going to start harassing Ian at some point, seeing that he's a black man, a young black handsome man that Alex may be attracted to. And and Randall in his delusion is going to start believing that Ian is the father of her baby. I mean, if I had to predict, and my theory is paper thin, I think Randall is going to start harassing Ian at some point. And I think that with Randall harassing him, he's going to try hard to get Marcy out of the marriage and get her the divorce that she really needs. That's my tinfoil theory for that, and we're going to have to see what happens later on. The next two people we go to is Randall and Larry. Randall is outside working in that dank, pitiful little tool shed when he gets a call from Larry confirming their boys' night out, and Randall is down for it. Then Larry says that he spoke with Marcy about the divorce. He tells Randall that he is representing her in the divorce and says, and then Randall says, tells him, "Did you laugh her right out of the office?" And Larry says, "No, I did not. I've chosen to represent her, and I think that it would be a good thing for the both of you. You both need a mediator, and you need to both get this settled." Larry says that maybe he can work it out so it can be smooth and beneficial for the both of you. But Randall says that he doesn't want anything to go smooth. I mean, he's down for this drama and this conflict, and he doesn't want a resolution. Larry says, "Maybe I can help you. Maybe we can get this settled." He says, "I know you know how I feel about both of you. You're both my friends, and you know how I feel about both of you." Randall says that you can go straight to hell and to never call me again. It's really sad because he could have a friend. He could have, some semblance of life on his own without chasing after Alex or badgering and harassing other people. But he just won't do that. He just won't move on with his life. He just won't let go of the anger and embrace other aspects of his life. He is just dead set on causing a bunch of drama. He doesn't have any friends or anyone else he could talk to. He's just alone in that tool shed. I mean, him in that tool shed was the perfect analogy for him. He was alone, surrounded in darkness, angry, and set on just being wrong. I mean, it's just the him in that tool shed was the perfect analogy for Randall. He's just locked up in this dark, dank tool shed, alone, with no one to talk to, alone in his anger, and it's just no sign of light around him anywhere. It's just pitiful, and I just wish that they would move this storyline on already. I'm so over it. They've been doing this for 3 years now. Let's move on from this now. The next group we go to, and the funniest scene of the night, was Marcy, Ian, Randall, and Brad. Marcy and Ian leave the new house and she gets into her truck and calls her associate. Then she sees Randall on a ladder putting up a light facing Brad's house. She tells her associate that she will call him back. Now, Brad is inside of the house. I guess he's doing the dishes. And he sees Randal and goes outside. Brad goes over to Randal and tells him, or rather ask him, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And Randal replies, "None of your damn business." Eventually, Randal says that he is putting up a floodlight, because he doesn't want anyone walking up and down his alley without him knowing about it. Brad asks, "Is that the light that's turned, at my house?" And then Randall lies and says no. Then Brad brings up the loud music. And Brad threatens him outright, saying that if you keep this up, I'm going to kick your ass again. Meanwhile, Marcy is watching all of this and enjoying it. Randall says that he will have to serve him. If he attacks him, he's going to serve him. And he is not going to remove his light. Brad expects Randall to turn the light away from his house, but Randall refuses. Brad says that it is shining right into my bedroom. But Randall, could care less. It's exactly what he wants to do. He's on with he's on with his harassment. Brad then sees that the camera on his porch is pointing toward his house. Randall wants to know, why is he even there? Brad says, "I'm going to kick your ass, if you cross me." Randall then says, "I heard that you and Marcy were trying to have a baby together." Brad says that he is warning him to stop this harassment, and that there's really something very wrong with you. Randall says that, "I saw her at the hospital." He says, "Best of luck to you trying to get her pregnant, because if I couldn't do it, you certainly couldn't." And then he says that you got one woman in that house that doesn't know who the father of her baby is, and then you're trying to get another woman pregnant. Yet you moved back into the house. What's going on here? Brad, warns him one more time. He warns him, to stop this, and Randall completely ignores him. Then Brad gets angry and pushes the ladder that he's standing on over, and Randall falls to the ground. He is in pain and he can barely breathe. Marcy laughs at this as Randall writhes on the ground. Randall promises that he is going to sue Brad for everything that he has done. Brad climbs up the ladder and pulls down the lights, and then he takes the camera off of Randall's porch and walks back into his house. Randall, who is lying on the ground in pain and can barely breathe, calls for a police and for an ambulance. He says that, "I was knocked off of a ladder by my neighbor, Bradley Montgomery," and I think that Brad, even though I totally agreed, with his actions toward Randall, I think it's gonna come back to bite him in the butt later on, because it's only gonna get worse from here. Marcy, is laughing at all of this, and she doesn't get out of her truck to help him. She's just laughing at him. And she says, "You better leave that man alone. He's not going to take your shit. What's wrong? You can't get up?" And she laughs, and then she drives off. Uh, Marcy, she's always been a wonderful character to me, and she just gets better and better. Even though I want for her to, to move on with her life and find some happiness. I just enjoy her character so much. She's always been my favorite. The last scene of the night is with Dr. Ralston, Alex, and the baby. Alex is at Dr. Ralston's office with the baby. The baby is fine and doing well. Dr. Roskin then asks her, "How are you doing personally?" And Alex says, "I'm doing very well." Alex, thanks her multiple times. And Dr. Roskin is suspicious as to why. Alex thinks that she was the one who fudged the test for her, but Dr. Ralston is sure that she did not. Alex is thinking that she's putting up a false front, but she makes it very clear to Alex that she did not do anything to tamper with those results. She says that, "I have known you for a while and I like you very much, but I will not put my career on the line for you." After the doctor makes herself clear, she says that she has another patient and she politely leaves. After the doctor leaves, she is stunned and bewildered. Alex is stunned and bewildered, and she doesn't know what to think. And that is where the episode ends. Come back next week for the next episode, and it will be entitled Falling. I have three MVPs tonight. My first MVP is Justice because I just thought it was a lovely, heartfelt thing that he did. Even though he's lying, and I don't agree with people not telling the truth, but he was doing it to try to help his mother and to try to help her out of this situation. And I really thought it was a heartfelt scene between Natalie, Justice, and Kelly. It was really the best scene of the night. So I have made him my MVP. Another one of my MVPs is Esperanza because I just loved how she shot up her bathroom and her living room trying to get Eddie out. I just thought that was just, I never expected her character to do anything like that. You can really tell that she's getting desperate and she's pulling out a gun, is a desperate act. But I really, really enjoyed the scene altogether. So for that reason, Esperanza is my second MVP. My third MVP is Brad because he pushed Randall off of that ladder, took the light and the camera down, and went on back in his house. I love the fact that he did that, even though it will cost him later on. I do believe it will cost him later on, but on the short term, I really enjoyed what he did. I'm glad that he's not putting up with Randall. He's putting up a fight against him. So, for that reason, I have made him my third MVP. It's a pretty good episode. I really enjoyed it. Make sure if you like my video, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will be back next week with the next review of If Loving You Is Wrong. Enjoy your life as I do, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much.